Hello and welcome to Midday. Here's what's coming up on today's show. The get-along shirt, parenting marvel or online gimmick. Cardiac alert, we introduce you to the bacon bowl. Controversial, we discuss drunk tanks, teen discos and underage drinking. Plus, online or offline, does age really matter when it comes to finding love? And joining me here in studio today we have from the Rising Tide, it is Sandra Murphy. Journalist Rosemary McCabe joins us as well from Animal A&E. It is Andrea Hayes. And finally, it is singer Edele Lynch. Now, it is Tuesday the 7th of January and here's what's caught our eye so far this morning. First up today, some love statistics. Now, listen carefully, ladies, and see how you measure up to the numbers. Oh dear. A new study says the average woman will kiss 15 men, enjoy 2 long-term relationships and have her heart broken twice before she meets the one. The fun statistics don't stop there. Researchers also found she will also suffer 4 disaster dates and be stood up once before she finds one she's happy to stick with. Now, according to the study of 2,000 adults, the biggest difference between men and women lie in the number of sexual partners, with men having 10 in their lifetime compared to an average of 7 for women. Just look at the faces of the girls here, like, what? Who shall I go to first? Rosemary. Well, 7, you say like 7?
I feel like my numbers are really dragging the averages up on all of these. This whole you kiss 15 men in your lifetime. I was talking to a friend of mine about this recently, and I don't know if maybe I'm the only person who ever did this. When you went to teen discos and played a game with your friends so you could kiss the most guys. When you were young, like very young. And I kissed 11 guys one night in Taney, which is a disco that I went to before Wesley, like, so I was probably about 15. Sorry, Mum.
Maybe it's 15 in one night for certain people.
Maybe that's it. Maybe
I never played that game. Did you, Sandra?
No. Well, maybe at Irish College we actually did play the same game. But no, definitely I think 15 is quite low. I mean, I don't know where that study was conducted. You know, and 4 disastrous dates. I mean, I'll be 33 in a few weeks, and I've had way more than 4 disastrous dates.
In the last month.
Yeah. Yeah.
But where do you think, I mean, have you kissed more than 15 people in your life?
I used to go to the Grove. Anybody from the north side of Dublin will know what the Grove is like, so the answer to that would be yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never done the maths, if I'm honest, but I'm sure it's probably more than 15.
Who keeps tabs of any of that sort of thing? Can you tell everybody you've been intimate in each way, numerically speaking?
I did a list recently with a friend of mine, just of like guys I've kissed and guys I've gone out with, and we kept missing some. So I was going, no, there's definitely somebody in between that person and that person. Yeah. So I kind of can keep count if I think about it.
Yeah, I've opened this sounds really bad to say I've opened to 5, but like that now going through the
opened to 5?
It's called the X-Files.
As in you keep it?
No, like as in, you know the way you'd be saying like that, going through with the friends, listing boyfriends, and so it's called the X-Files. It's on the notes on my phone. I hope my iPhone never gets
that's very dangerous.
I lost track in college, to be quite honest with you. I don't know, I could be in the hundreds for all I know. But the thing I can't understand in always these surveys, men sleep with more partners than women do. But who are the men sleeping with if they're
foreigners?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Foreigners, that's who it is. The Irish women are at home getting no action. No, a friend of mine, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, a friend of mine has a handyman, right? And he's Polish. And he said that he has real trouble deciding between Irish and Polish women because the Irish women will drink pints and have a great laugh, but then they put on weight throughout the relationship and don't want to have sex with him, right? This is his theory. The Polish women never put on weight, but they don't have as good crack and they don't drink the pints. So he has this real thing that he's going to... Yeah.
That's some theory.
But so I think that maybe the Irish women are drinking the pints and feeling too self-conscious to have sex, and
they're just turning into beach whales through happiness and contentment.
Yeah, exactly.
Have both, why not? That might make sense to some of these statistics. Let us know yours if you know them. Anyway, from love to bacon, which is what probably a lot of the women in relationships eat now. It's not exactly breaking news that much of the world is engaged with a serious battle against obesity. Well, in the US, they love their bacon. So much so, in fact, that they are even making bowls out of it. Prepare to get hungry, unless, of course, you're vegetarian.
Everybody loves bacon. The sizzle, the scent, the mouth-watering taste. Didn't think it could get any better? Watch. We're turning bacon upside down. Introducing Bacon Bowl, the easy way to make delicious edible bowls out of bacon for fun, savory, crunchable yum. Just wrap your favorite cut of bacon around the bacon bowl form and cook. In just minutes, you'll have tasty, toasty bacon bowls. Eggs and hash browns for breakfast? It's better in a bacon bowl. Be BLT for lunch? Bacon Bowl makes a whole new way to munch. Order now and get the Everything's Better in a Bacon Bowl cookbook filled with bacon-rific ideas. You can call or log on at buybaconbowl.com.
Be good if you're on the Atkins, I suppose. Would you purchase that little gadget now?
I wouldn't let myself eat that. That's a heart attack waiting to happen, that bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's madness.
There's only 4 rashers in it.
I know, but how many times would you make that if you actually own that cookbook?
How many times would I make it?
That's the problem.
Well, let's look at you and look at me. I'd probably make it a lot of times. No wonder you're not going to be ordering that bowl. This is my problem in life.
I don't need any encouragement without a bacon bowl, for God's sake, never mind if you had one. Is that a thing that you would serve in your restaurant now, Sandra?
No, definitely not. I don't think it would catch on. I think that I think things like that, you know, those infomercials, they're pure fads, you know. I mean, you get them. It's like the George Foreman was a huge hit there for a while. Everyone got one and they used it and everyone was going on about, oh, look at all the fat that's coming out of this here. And then a month later they were gone. You know, so I think things like that are fads, and I think, no, that's not going to catch on.
I can guarantee you now there are people sitting at home Googling, go, where can I buy that bacon bowl? I want one, they look great.
And my husband loves bacon, he'd be all over that now. He'd probably put a salad into it thinking he was being healthy, you know, like a Caesar salad, just to have the bacon, put chicken into it as well.
Some blue cheese dressing just to top it all
and
off.
he'd tell me this is healthy. I'm not really into bacon, I don't like a lot of meat, and I'm not a vegetarian, but I just don't think I'd eat that then. Yeah, but no.
Would you admit it on television? No.
I would if I liked it, because I love food, but bacon just, maybe a sausage bowl or something like that.
It's too early for this, it's too early. The mental images I have helped me. Finally today, a new trend we came across online, the getting along t-shirt. You can have it while you're having your bacon bowl. Anyway, we were surprised when we came across the picture online, and when we did a little digging we discovered it's not exactly a new trend. The get along t-shirt is an oversized t-shirt that's meant to be worn by bickering children in the hope of securing some sibling peace. Now, the humorous concept has gained much attention online and prompted some rather funny pictures. So what do we think? Good idea or modern torture? Would it have brought you to a place of peace with your siblings?
If you ate enough bacon, you'd have to wear one on your own.
I'm just trying to think the holy war that would happen if I was stuck in a t-shirt for a length of time with anybody, sibling or not. Would you like that?
I think don't bother buying the t-shirt, just put them
You've
in
a
a room
twin.
together and shut the door. Yeah, they look Siamese. Bless them.
Do you have a twin? Like, were you close all the time, or?
Yeah, no, we're mad about each other and we're really close. You wouldn't have to put us in the same t-shirt. We're that close anymore.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's sick.
Did you see the
People who
choosy?
get on with their siblings, I don't understand.
Did you see the choosy onesie?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was great.
But would you not get roasting hot in a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Get in it with your partner, like, and chill out and watch telly.
Yeah, I got a onesie for Christmas.
I already have a onesie, but
Did
I
you?
think the
Yeah,
choosy
onesie's
onesie,
rock.
is there one big leg in the middle and then you put your other, it's like 3, oh no.
What if you need to go to the bathroom?
That would be awkward.
That'd be really awkward. Although it'd be really good for your squats if you weren't the one going to the bathroom. You just squat down beside them and hover.
Can you go to the bathroom in front of someone you're going out with?
A friend of mine, who shall remain unnamed,
Be careful.
went to the bathroom in front of somebody she was on a second date with recently. The two of them did. She's like, yeah, it was great. It's like, totally mad.
It's not
She's
me.
going to marry him.
I was just about to look. Sandra,
Clearly,
tell us
no,
all.
it's not
A
me.
friend of mine.
There are some lines that should not be crossed, I think. Really, when it
Yeah,
comes.
I always think separate bathrooms.
Yeah.
Listen, dudes, I'm married and we would definitely be in the bathroom together. That's not unusual, I don't think, in a married life, is it?
No.
No.
Sure, my child has taken over my bathroom routine.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of her. She's everywhere. She comes just like she's no space.
What age is she? You were
She's
funny,
only
you were like
2.5.
17.
No, she's only 2.5. But isn't it weird how children just? My bathroom life has changed.
I can't get my head around going to the loo in front of someone you fancy. I mean,
No.
oh God. Ooh. Anyway, ladies, thank you for that. Sybil, the get along t-shirt. Would you like it in your house? I think we should get one, the two of us.
Elaine.
We'd have a lovely time.
Elaine, we needed one of those t-shirts about 10 years ago, really, didn't we? That would have stopped all the fights between us. Is it too late?
We didn't fight.
No, only occasionally. Only when
No.
we're going to the toilet in front of each other, isn't that right?
Now that has happened in fairness. Anyway, I say too much. Anyway, what's up with you today?
Okay, coming up from here, we're going to be discussing infertility a little bit later. 1 in 6 Irish couples has trouble conceiving. So 2 Dublin mums have set up a charity called pomegranate.ie, and they're providing funding for couples who can't afford IVF. I'll be chatting to them a little bit later on. Also, does age matter when it comes to looking for love on or offline? The Midday cameras will be out and about getting your opinions. Lots to come later, but first we want to know your thoughts on our topics today, and here's how to get in touch. we want you to have your say. To text us, simply put MD followed by your message and send to 53131. You can email us at midday@tv3.ie, follow us on facebook.com/midday, or find us on Twitter at TV3 Midday. Have your say on Midday any way you want.
Still lots to come on Midday today, including drunk tanks and teenagers. Should they mix? We'll see you in 3.
Come and have a look at this. The magic eraser.
What's magic about it? Just a wet sponge, innit?
No, he's a wizard. Making dirt disappear in front of your very eyes.
Well, it's all faked, innit?
How does he get all that dirt off then?
I reckon he uses mirrors.
But look at the grease vanish. He makes it look so easy.
It's just a trick of the light.
So you could do that, could you?
Of course I could.
Go on then.
Don't want to.
New Flash Magic Eraser. Looks like a sponge, cleans like magic.
For a good morning, all your baby needs is your love and a dry night. Pampers Baby Dry have double dry zones, a new absorption layer, and the core that locks wetness in better for up to 12 hours of dryness and good mornings. Pampers, wishing you nothing but love, sleep and play.
Come and see this! A new liquid gel!
Oh, it has a nozzle that stops by itself so nothing's wasted.
Smaller than before, but with more power in every drop.
So what?
It's as if it actually gets into the dirt and lifts it off. How come it cleans so well, but with so little? It's because he's so concentrated.
Yeah. New Flash Liquid Gel. There'll be jealousy all over the neighbourhood.
New Ariel 3-in-1 pods have all you need. The first ever laundry detergent with 3 compartments that act together. To clean, lift stains, and brighten. All in one single pod. New Ariel 3-in-1 pods. All you need.
Edele model Caroline Penry started using Total Effects in 2001. Since then, there's been 1 wedding, 2 kids, 378 pre-dawn starts, 43 bottles of Total Effects to fight the appearance of 7 signs of aging. So 12 birthdays later, Caroline Penry still looking great, thanks to Total Effects.
You're very welcome back to Midday, where we want you to have yours say. You can text us throughout the show, put the letters MD first, followed by your comments to 53131. You can email us midday@tv3.ie, or you can get involved in a discussion on Facebook or on Twitter. That's at TV3 Midday. Now, have you heard of a drunk tank? Well, it's basically a wet room for drunks to sober up in, and there are allegations that one has been used at one of the most popular teenage discos in Dublin. The alcohol-free Wes Disco has defended the room, which they call a medical room. Joining me now on the phone is promoter Donny Bolger, who organises events at the Wes in Donnybrook in Dublin. Thank you very much, Donny, for joining us on Midday today. First of all, can I ask, can you just explain to, I mean, I know the Wes is kind of infamous for like it or not in Dublin, but for people around the country, tell us what the disco is and who it's aimed at.
Well, the Wes discos are aimed principally at teenagers. You know, we run them by age grouping, you know, from 12s, 13s, 14s and 15s. And when you say how, I presume you're talking about how we run them. We're very strict as regards standards of behaviour. We have a zero tolerance to drink of any form. And I think everybody has read about it, the way we handle these situations. As I said, we have a zero tolerance to drink. And if a young teenager arrives at the disco and they have consumed alcohol, they're immediately brought into our first aid room. I know people have given it a label like the tank room or the drunk room, but really it's a first aid facility, and this is manned by a group of responsible paramedics from the Red Cross. They assess the young person, see what condition they're in, and treat them accordingly. And following that, parents are phoned immediately to come and collect their either boy or girl, and it'll be explained why they've been called to come in to collect them.
Yeah.
So that's the background to it.
So how do they, it's an alcohol-free disco, I mean, are they checked when they're going in? Are they arriving drunk? How are they getting the alcohol into the disco to end up in this medical room?
Well, I wouldn't use the word drunk in every instance. They come along, and obviously some would have, at 13 and 14, they're going to show symptoms right away once they hit. Once they enter the gates of Wesley, they join a queue, and that queue is monitored by a group of security, including myself. And they'll be asked questions in general, and, if we observe somebody that's not quite right, we'll ask them further questions, and immediately we recognise, yes, they have drinking.
Okay, Donny, it's clear that you can recognise somebody if they're drunk, if they're a teenager, they're not used to drinking. But the problem now, I think, and maybe you will agree with me here, that maybe years and years ago you might have had a can of cider or something like that, that now the teenagers they're going straight for the hard drink, they're having bottles of naggins of vodka snuck in places, they're arriving, drinking a lot, drinking in the toilets, coming out, and that's when the issue starts. Now, security-wise, what do you have there to stop that sort of behaviour?
I have to correct you on that. There's no drink allowed on the premises whatsoever.
But it's obviously getting in somehow.
Let me explain. Number one, we have a female security in the ladies and in the gents throughout the night. So, I mean, the chances of somebody coming in and drinking is nigh impossible. Generally speaking, they would drink before they come in, right? And this is where, parents must look at their role as a parent to see that if they send their child or boy or girl into Wesley, they should ensure that they are actually heading for Wesley and that they are in a sober condition.
Yeah, but be that as it may, obviously you said most of the time they're drinking before they arrive, but there is the instances that they are somehow smuggling some sort of alcohol in and they are getting to drink it, and that of course can lead to problems.
I would again disagree with you.
So you're saying it doesn't happen?
No, what I'm about to say is this. When they form the queue and they're observed and they're carrying bags or what have you, each bag is checked. Whether it's a perfume bottle, a bottle of water, lids are opened or whatever, or a soft drink. And in that sense, I mean, we're never going to be 100% proof, that they don't in some way smuggle in. But I mean, our aim always is total prevention.
Yeah. I know you've been quoted in another interview saying that some of the girls will actually hide quantities of alcohol in their bras. Some of the boys might hide it on their pants. Obviously, you can't go that far in searching. But where do you think? Do you think the disco and discos like yours, where teenagers are attending, do you think you're being unfairly blamed, really, and the parents should accept a lot more responsibility because of the behaviour of their children, rather than pointing the finger at people like you?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. I think, the role of a parent changes, obviously, when the son turns into a teen or daughter, right? And, it's the first on the path to independence and adulthood. And it's a very difficult role, I think, both for the teenager and the parent, because while the young person is seeking independence, the parent is trying to sort of keep tabs on what they're doing and guide them as best they can. And but I do feel that teenagers have a responsibility as well about their behaviour, their attitudes and their approach to drink as well. It can't be all pointed at the parents.
Yeah, but do you think that some parents, and I've heard it over various media over the last number of days, that they're blaming the organisers rather than blaming themselves or indeed their children? Do you think that's a fair accusation?
My father used to say, always remember when you point a finger, there's three fingers pointing at yourself. And I never knew what he meant until I actually did it and I saw. And I think parents look for an opt-out by saying, oh, well, it's the venue's responsibility, but it's not really. We've on a social culture where young people can come along and enjoy a dance, meet, their opposite numbers and have fun and leave saying, well, it was a good night or they didn't enjoy it, what have you. But we don't play the role of morality and standards of behavior. We have standards of behavior, but the role of a parent is to guide and advise young people how to behave, and drink is included in that standards of behavior.
Yeah, okay, Joni, thank you very much for joining us this lunchtime on Midday. Thank you very much for that. Now, ladies, when I've never been to Wes, I grew up in the country, we didn't have it down there. You have, Rosemary.
I have. It was a long battle getting to Wes. My parents were dead against it for years. I think I first went when I was 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And
what was it like back then for you? I mean, we hear horror stories now, and I'm sure that's not the only disco like this. They're all over the country now, teenage discos. People are not smuggling and drink. They're arriving drunk, they're not arriving drunk. But what was it like when you first walked in, as it were?
So Wesley was really hard to smuggle drink in, because they did have this really long queue, and you'd queue for about half an hour. So you'd arrive, you'd be in the queue, they'd have all these bouncers, and if you had drink, 99% of the time you were caught with it, like, if you had it then. So people used to drink beforehand. So you'd go and you'd have, I remember, like, myself and my friend used to go and have kind of one can each and be like, we're really drunk, like, we're so innocent. But I remember, like, getting the bus there, and there'd be groups of guys there, and I remember one time this group of guys, and like 2 of them were getting sick on the bus and all this. So, but that happens
any sort of teenage years,
everywhere. And I mean, it was really hard to smuggle drink in, and the problem as well is once you got in the queue, you were really invested. So you were like, I need to get in, I can't appear drunk, I can't get kicked out of the queue. A, because your parents thought you were there and you didn't want your parents to get called and say you have to pick her up because she's drunk, and B, because you were freezing, and you're like, I've been freezing for 10 minutes now, and I'm going to freeze for another 20 minutes in order to get in.
So there was a lot of security there on preserving you. You went there as well, Edele. Did you
I went there, and I went there, and what I experienced and what I saw, I wouldn't allow my kids to go there. I'd be a little bit worried about them going there. And the trick with the drink is to hide it around the area of the queue. So you go there before, like either you or your friends try and get there before, and you stash the drink outside.
Really?
Yeah, that's the trick.
And that's
so, like, years ago you were talking about your cans and your six-packs, so it's probably easier to actually, stick a naggin somewhere and bring it
does seem to be more the slugging, the naggins of vodka and that sort of thing now, which is very worrying, because the damage that, your brain doesn't stop developing until you're in your 20s, so the damage that sort of binge drinking can do, especially if you're starting drinking at a very young age.
There's so much responsibility on us as parents to teach the kids and put boundaries on it and just show them how bad it can be. There's loads of responsibility on the child to actually take that on board and be grown up enough to put it into play. And there is a responsibility on the actual organisers as well, just to watch out for things that are going on when they're there, and things that are maybe going on that children wouldn't do unless they were inebriated.
I've seen people being dropped off in the queues, and girls and boys, no matter what. And the girls can be dropped off in their lovely outfits. They go around the corner and they come back in nothing. It's not the parents' fault, really. Most teenage girls have done it sometimes. They've gone out in their jeans and a t-shirt and ended up in basically get boob tube and nothing else on. But that's normal teenage behaviour. We might potentially scandalise now. But
like, really, who cares what they're wearing? You can go to a disco in a bikini, right? And if you have, if you as a parent have brought your child up to have self-respect and to be aware of their own boundaries and to be aware of when to say yes and when to say no, and to be responsible for themselves, it actually shouldn't matter what they're wearing to this disco. But the problem is that if they go and drink too much, that they go in there, and as Edele said, they do things. So that's why I actually think this drunk tank is a really good idea, because if you're really hammered and you're at this disco, you are in danger of kind of letting your guard down, or if you're anywhere. So for somebody to move you into a room and go, we're going to put you here with responsible adults, paramedics who are going to look after you, we're going to call your parents, A, that should scare the bejesus out of you, and B, it prevents you being out in the mart, doing things that you wouldn't ordinarily do.
I think, look, teenage drinking, it's always been there, it's always going to be there, and it's always going to be a problem. But I think by having this wet room or having a drunk tank or whatever you want to call it, I think it's somewhat showing a level of acceptance that it's going to happen. So therefore it's somewhat condoning the behaviour of teenagers.
But you've just said that it does happen and it will always happen, so what can we do if we don't accept it and try to deal with it?
I'll tell you, when I was a teenager, we had the teenage discos. I wasn't allowed out on my junior cert night. My parents were quite strict with our upbringing, so I really wasn't allowed out until I was over 18. Did I go to teenage discos? Yes, but I stayed in a friend's house. So it was a case of having 2 bottles of Woodies. I think they were the Alco Pop at the time, back in the day.
You snuck out?
No, I used to say that I was staying in a friend's house
and you snuck
in
out
the countryside. Her parents used to allow us to go. So
you snuck out, Rosemary. I'm not sorry, Sandra. You snuck out.
So yeah, I suppose in theory I did, but at the same time, it depends on how you've been brought up as a child and how much respect you have for your elders. So therefore, there's so many boundaries that you're not going to push. But by having this, you know, wet room for kids to dry out shows that they actually have zero respect and they actually don't care the level of drunkenness that they get to.
But this
Who
isn't
doesn't
now
care
about
now?
the kids, yeah, they don't have the respect.
But I mean, they're small, some tiny little bodies, a lot of them tiny little livers.
I
mean,
remember it well.
I know. But you know, you can, one measure of alcohol can make some people absolutely plastered like it or not. So you can't, I mean, especially if you're not used to drinking, first time at a disco, way, hey, here I go, have a little sip, and the next thing you're on the floor, you know. It's a rite of passage, unfortunately, in this country for a lot of teenagers. But you not think that if they're going to get themselves into trouble, if they're staggering around a disco and maybe leaving themselves open to behaviour that they normally wouldn't do, that it's good to take them away. And it's responsible of the organisers to have medical people on board to deal with them.
I remember, I mean, we're going back how many years to teenage discos where if there was someone drunk on the venue, now it would always happen beforehand, or the stash of drink coming in, but I mean, it was the glass bottles at the time, so it was generally beforehand. And what used to happen, organisers would come over, pull them aside, either call parents, and if they wouldn't give the parents' name, call the guards. And the guards were called. And you know what? That terrified them, so it didn't happen often. And when they were actually thrown out of the event, they were banned and they were blacklisted. For good.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
So it was very cut and dry. And you know what? It sent a very clear message out to people, so it wasn't as bad as it is.
I would be absolutely terrified if I had daughters, particularly. I mean, God, it's a minefield out there. I'm just looking at the two of you going, you poor things.
Do you know, though, I think if the parents have to take responsibility, this is ridiculous. Like, you drop your kids off somewhere and you know that they're going in somewhere and you watch them and you say, OK, you're going in there. I mean, I think parents, it's too easy to blame the drunk tank or whatever you want to say. You're a parent. If they come home at night, you know they've been drinking, for God's sake. And you just have to be strict. And I think it's not his. Donny is a lovely man and God bless him, he's getting a lot of stick in the last number of days. He's just trying to manage what he's dealing with. But ultimately, it comes down to the parents. And if the parents didn't allow them to go, there wouldn't be any drink tanks.
Yeah.
But you know what as well, and I know this is always being spouted, we really need to look at it as a society and go, we are a society of binge drinkers. Teenagers in France and Italy drink, but they don't drink the way our teenagers do. And that's because we as a society drink, we binge drink. We go out and we have 10 and 11 and 12 drinks, and it's not normal. Like, I mean, I lived in Italy for a while, and I remember going to this bar that I worked in, and I'd have 2 or 3 drinks, and they'd go, oh, are you going home now? And I'd be like, what? No, I'm just getting started. And they'd be like, oh my God, you must be hammered. And I'd be going on my 3rd drink and I'm sober as a judge. I don't know what the problem is.
So if anyone's looking at their parents, their older brothers, their sisters, anybody else, if that's what they do, it's kind of like do as I do, not as I say, really.
Yeah, I mean, looking at any pub on a Friday night, you have all these people who are out and they go out with the intention of getting drunk. Like, that's what Irish people do. We go out and go, I'm going to go and get hammered tonight. It's going to be deadly.
Yeah, I remember friends of mine growing up saying, if I haven't got sick by the end of the night, it's not a good night. And I remember thinking that was nuts. I didn't understand that.
I just think parents just ultimately need to take responsibility for their teenagers, and as well as that, there's huge peer pressure for teenagers now more than ever before, and they're just becoming over-sexualised and everything from a very young age. And it's just because we're in a social media age where things are leaked onto the internet. We've all seen high-profile ones over the last number of months, and it's really sad because you know what? These things don't go away for these teenagers. So that nagging of vodka that just went terribly wrong for them, that's going to haunt them for the rest of their days. It's online. So.
Okay, thank you, ladies, and of course don't forget you can get in touch with us and have your say throughout the show. Now, still to come on Midday, the gender divide in online dating. See you in 3.
Come and have a look at this. The magic eraser.
What's magic about it? Just a wet sponge, innit?
No, he's a wizard. Making dirt disappear in front of your very eyes.
Well, it's all faked, innit?
How does he get all that dirt off then?
I reckon he uses mirrors.
But look at the grease vanish. He makes it look so easy.
It's just a trick of the light.
So you could do that, could you?
Of course I could.
Go on then.
Don't want to.
New Flash Magic Eraser. Looks like a sponge, cleans like magic.
New Ariel 3-in-1 pods have all you need. The first ever laundry detergent with 3 compartments that act together. To clean, lift stains, and brighten. All in one single pod. New Ariel 3-in-1 pods. All you need.
For a good morning, all your baby needs is your love and a dry night. Pampers Baby Dry have double dry zones, a new absorption layer, and the core that locks wetness in better for up to 12 hours of dryness and good mornings. Pampers, wishing you nothing but love, sleep and play.
I see a lot of teeth that look great until I look at the gum line. The problem is, if you have plaque along the gum line, it can lead to gum problems. So I recommend Oral-B Pro Expert Premium Gum Protection Toothpaste. It's clinically proven to reduce plaque at the gum line in just 4 weeks. New Oral-B Pro Expert Premium Gum Protection Toothpaste.
Getting your hair noticed just got even easier thanks to an irresistible scent. Head & Shoulders now has a new scent burst experience. So you can have great smelling hair and stay up to 100% flake-free. Anti-dandruff shampoo that smells surprisingly good.
You're very welcome back to Midday, where I'm joined here in studio by Sandra Murphy from The Rising Tide, journalist Rosemary McCabe from Animal A&E, Andrea Hayes, and singer Edele Lynch. Now to some of your texts and tweets and your Facebook messages. What is wrong with having a wet room? There should be drunk tanks all over the city. It would save clogging up A&E and Garda stations. This is the funniest text I've ever got on Midday. Arlene and Sybil sisters, absolutely not. Sometimes it feels that way. She slags me like my sisters do, but no, even though we're very alike facially, don't you think? Anyway, sorry, I'm taken aback by that one. I've never heard so much crap from that lad you spoke to about drinking, etc. As a security guard, a door security supervisor, you see people that are half cut before they even leave the house, and by the time they get to a disco, they're well oiled and they just want to dance, so it's very obvious. My son can get vodka and Red Bull for €2 in a local disco. He's 17 and he's false ID to get in. Well, if you know this, take the false ID off him and tell him stop drinking it. I mean, you can't blame the disco if you're letting him go. As a parent of teenagers, I know that it is my responsibility to ensure that they don't drink before they go to a disco. It's up to parents to guide their children, not expect event organisers to mind and parent our children. Another text here. When I was going to discos, people used to arrive at them drunk. My mother was very open with us about alcohol. I never did drink before them, but friends did. Not a lot of them did drink, but whoever did, they drank on the bus on the way over. The disco had teens coming from all areas, so the buses were organised. If a teenager wants to drink, they will find a way without their parents knowing. It's not the organisers' fault that the teens are drinking. It's been going on for years and it's not going to change anytime soon. That's in from Lisa. And lots of texts saying they just drink before they go into these places. Up to parents to check. I mean, any parent would know if your child is after a few drinks there. Yeah. But I suppose if they'll claim I'm going to so-and-so's house and I'm going to so-and-so's house.
They're getting a lift off someone else, or they're getting the bus, or there is a way
they have to
around it.
exercise some responsibility. Do you know what I mean? You can't just hand it over their children at the end of the day.
On a lighter note, I'm so going downstairs now to make that bacon boat. I'm going to use an upside down muffin tin. My mouth is watering as I type.
Delicious.
Bacon bowl, only 4 rashers. Haha, don't buy, just use a juice squeezer thing.
Tweet a picture if you make it.
Yeah, do. Send us a picture of the bacon bowl. We have started a trend. Anyway, moving on. You can keep the text coming MD first, followed by your comments to 53131. Have you ever tried online dating? Were you happy or were you disappointed with the result? Well, the Mail Online has analysed the leading indicators that will predict whether a single person will get a message from the opposite sex this year. Now, 25-year-old females get the most dates, while 33-year-old women get the least. However, men's age doesn't matter at all. It's their education and their salary that are more important to women. Sandra, expert in online dating, you've recently forayed.
Only recently, yeah. Well, I once did try online dating. Can't remember the website, but you know what? I think I was on it for about 2 weeks, went on one date. I just didn't like it because there was like unsolicited emails. You have to do lengthy profiles and make yourself maybe seem more interesting than what you are. So I tried.
Did you get much action? Many hits off of it?
Did I get many hits or pokes on Facebook? Yeah, I went on one date. Wasn't great. Well, it was grand, like it was a good date, except I was in hospital with like a chest infection the following week, and like he landed up to the hospital, you know, after one date. So that was the end of that. Online I was like, no, delete profile. So I tried Tinder recently.
Oh yes, how did that go for you?
Yeah, I was telling you about it before Christmas. So basically, as I said to you, it's solely based on physical appearance. So you either swipe to the left or swipe to the right if you like or dislike.
I've played with my friend's Tinder. It's great crack.
It actually is great crack. And yeah, I had one date which was grand, and then a second date which I'm still seeing. So. And thank God, because look at those statistics. 33-year-olds get the least amount of messages.
And what age are you soon?
In 2 weeks, I'm going to be 33.
Oh. Yeah. So you got in there under the line.
got it, flew in under the radar.
Unless you're a thin girl, which you are, and have a dog, because apparently the odds are in your favour.
I have a dog. Yeah, I have 2 dogs.
You're all right with a dog.
You're perfect.
Okay, Rosemary, you dabbled in
I feel like I talk about online dating on Midday too much
but
now.
You know what, most people date online now. That's how it's done.
Yeah, I think an awful lot of people are. I was really surprised though, in this study they said as well, a 25-year-old Catholic woman who owns a dog, and that if you say you say no religion, that puts people off, and if you say you don't want children or you prefer not to say if you want children, that really puts people off as well.
We're living in Ireland, you know. Everybody wants to have babies.
I know, but nobody I know of my age group now would call themselves Catholic, despite all the weddings they've had to endure in churches. Yeah. But I mean, like none of my peer group would call themselves Catholic, and no guys I've ever met would say that they're Catholic. So I find it really weird that they're looking for a nice Catholic girl.
Well, if you were asked that question, would you answer it as Catholic or would you say nothing?
Yeah. No, well, I'm not Catholic, so I'd say no.
Yeah. But whatever about the religion debate here, I mean, it just shows how different men and women see. Like women, their age and looks don't particularly matter. It's how much they earn and their profession that reels the women in.
Do you know what's really funny? When I was reading this, I was watching repeats of Sex and the City, right? And it was near the last one where Carrie was going out with the older guy, and her boss said, "Why are you swimming in my pool? He's my age. I should be able to, you know, be with him," because she couldn't find anybody. And it's so true. I think men can kind of go to a number of different pools, younger, their own age, even older. Whereas women, I find, they tend to have to go with older guys. Do you know what I mean?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
No. Times have changed.
Well, I think actually more importantly, a man who's 50 can go lower, whereas a woman who's 50 will get very little attention from 25-year-olds, no matter how much she earns.
And if she does, she's called a cougar anyway, and that's what's wrong with you. You're a predator.
Yeah, but also if a guy does, like if a 25-year-old guy ends up going out with a 50-year-old, you're all going like, what's going on? Whereas a 25-year-old girl goes out with a 50-year-old, you're like, oh, he's, you know, bit of George Clooney about him, bit of a silver fox, like plenty of money, settle down, you know.
If it's like the good really blimp and he's not attracted, then it's obviously just money.
Then it is obviously just
money. Tell.
I can understand, actually, with the 33-year-old, I can understand that, and I think it's because of the biological clock. I think that scares the bejesus out of the guys, because they're like, if I go with her, she's going to want kids and settle down within 6 months to a year and then run a mile. Yeah. Unless they're going to fall in love with her from having met her, like I don't think they're going to seek it.
Yeah. But apparently they want women who want kids. They don't know what they want. They want women who want kids, but they don't want women who want kids imminently.
They want it all. They're men. They want every box ticked. Yeah. I think.
So do women.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Do you know, it's so funny. I remember years ago, very long time ago, when a friend of mine first met somebody online. So this was when email was just coming about. So this was a long time ago. And they ended up getting married. And we were at the wedding, Susanna, if you're listening. And they're still married. But I remember at the time thinking, imagine meeting somebody online. That's just weird. Yeah. But now that's where you meet people.
I was just at a wedding where my friend met her husband online. It was happening all the time.
Things have changed though, because people are just so busy now. People don't have the time, we'll say, to invest.
You need to filter out the bull.
You do. And you know what? People just don't have. And you know what? When you go out into a bar, sometimes I find that I'm somewhat closed down personality-wise, more often than not, because I'm just tired. And if I go out with the girls on a night out, maybe I don't want to spend half the night talking to someone that I don't know for the sake of talking to them. So, you know, I mean, definitely it's a new way of dating, but I mean, I think it's the most popular way of dating for people now. And look, there definitely are catfish situations out there, but you know, you
for those who don't know, catfish situations are you pretend you're something where you're clearly not.
Exactly. I got a message on online dating from the most beautiful man, seriously beautiful, who wanted to meet me that night, like, well, not for a loving relationship, but he was so gorgeous. And I wrote back and I said, send me a picture of yourself with today's newspaper. And he said, why? I don't have a paper. And I was like, because I think you're catfishing me. And then he just never wrote back. So I think he was. It was like male model. He was so beautiful.
Today's newspaper. That's very clever.
Yeah, you need that. Really you need like, this is today. I'm here in the world.
Kidnappers do. I worry the way you're I really do. Now time to head back out to Sybil, who's been finding out if you think age matters when it comes to finding love. Sybil.
Tell Rosemary, that sounds a bit like a hostage situation she's talking about there with the newspaper. Gosh.
I probably would have taken him hostage given half the chance.
I'd say you would. I'd say you would.
Don't encourage her, please.
Okay, well, I went out and about earlier to ask the general public, does age matter when it comes to falling in love? And here's what they had to say.
It's easier the older you get. Definitely. because you're moving you're looking for company, a lot of people. They haven't the same level of activity, so they have to resort to something that suits their style.
It comes a bit more difficult.
I think there's more places to go when you're younger to try and find it, but I think it's probably easier when you actually meet somebody to achieve it if you're older, because you're more, you're more relaxed in yourself in that.
Oh God, I don't know. I'd say it's harder, to tell you the truth. That's all I can say. It's harder to start dating when you're older.
It's definitely harder. It seems if you're tied down with kids and all, it gets harder.
I just think the younger people are more out there than the older people. Older people are more settled and more in their ways of obviously career and job and working and that.
You're more settled in your ways and all that. You're not quick to change. And all that. When you're younger, like your options are all open.
I don't think it's much of a difference, to be honest. I think it's just if you meet someone that's right for you, then you're the same about people. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't think it's any easier.
I would like to say no, but I think, yeah, I would agree with you in that statement. Yeah, I think the older you get, the more your friend circle kind of short or is smaller, so it's harder to meet people. That's my understanding of it.
To meet people is very easy because there's a lot of organisations out there especially for the elderly. So I don't know about falling in love. I think I'm a bit old for that.
You're never too old to fall in love. Lots of mixed opinions there. Now, coming up from here after the break, we're going to be discussing infertility. I'll be chatting to two Dublin mums who've set up a charity which funds couples' IVF programmes. See you for that in a couple of minutes. Back to you, Elaine.
Thanks for that, Sybil. Now time to take a break. Lots of more to come today. We'll see you back here in a few minutes.
Come and see this! A new liquid gel!
Oh, it has a nozzle that stops by itself so nothing's wasted.
Smaller than before, but with more power in every drop.
So what?
It's as if it actually gets into the dirt and lifts it off. How come it cleans so well, but with so little? It's because he's so concentrated.
Yeah. New Flash Liquid Gel. There'll be jealousy all over the neighbourhood.
Edele model Caroline Penry started using Total Effects in 2001. Since then, there's been 1 wedding, 2 kids, 378 pre-dawn starts, 43 bottles of Total Effects to fight the appearance of 7 signs of ageing. So 12 birthdays later, Caroline Penry still looking great, thanks to Total Effects.
My long hair, my youthful look, but over time I'm left with more damaged hair. Should I cut it? No.
New Pantene Pro V Youth Protect 7. The new formula helps protect 7 benefits of youthful looking hair.
Now my hair is stronger and looks fuller. I won't cut my youthful look. Pantene, hair so healthy looking it shines.
For a good morning, all your baby needs is your love and a dry night. Pampers Baby Dry have double dry zones, a new absorption layer, and the core that locks wetness in better for up to 12 hours of dryness and good mornings. Pampers, wishing you nothing but love, sleep and play.
Very welcome back to Midday. Now, having children and raising a family is something that most of us take for granted, but sadly, infertility is something 1 in 6 couples experience. An Irish charity set up by 2 Dublin mums is throwing a lifeline to desperate couples suffering the frustration of infertility by raising cash to help fund their baby dreams. Now, Joanne Donnelly and Fiona McPhillips from pomegranate.ie join Sybil now to tell us more. Sybil.
Thanks, Elaine. And Fiona and Joanna, we're delighted to be giving pomegranate.ie a bit of publicity here in Midday. Great idea. When did you set it up and why?
Well, we had both been through IVF and we were lucky enough to come out the other side with babies. So we talked about doing something, maybe trying to give something back. And in 2010, we decided to do it right and set up a charity with the aim of maybe helping one couple get through IVF and maybe 1 year if things went well. But after we got our first bit of press, the response was absolutely phenomenal. So things just really took off from there.
Because if you want IVF in this country, you don't get any help, is that right, from, there's no funding for it, basically?
No, one of the few countries, I think only Ireland and Russia in Europe don't supply treatment to anybody free on the HSE at all. Every other country supplies their citizens with the medical treatment, but Ireland don't.
They supply, don't they supply help, provide funding for, I suppose, medication?
The medication is available on the DPS scheme, but that's about it. It's a huge benefit now, it's a huge help, and without it, it would completely wipe the possibility of treatment out of most couples' affordability. But that's it, that's all you have, just the medication.
And overall, how much would it cost if you went through an IVF?
Well, there are all the costs leading up to it, like consultations and blood tests and scans and so on, a lot of which are covered by the HSE or by private health insurers, in that they will diagnose infertility for you, but after that you're on your own. After that, once you end up at a fertility clinic, it can cost up to about $6,000 for a cycle of IVF.
Okay, which is probably out of reach for many people. What type of couples do you get ringing you up, and what help have you been able to give them?
Well, we provide one cycle of IVF. Whenever we raise enough money to pay for one, we will fund a couple, and it is all sorts. I mean, all ages, from people in their early 20s to mid 40s, really all sorts of people who are just desperate for help.
And what's your selection criteria then?
Well, unfortunately, because we don't have the funds to do a means test ourselves, it's literally every penny that we raise goes directly to the fertility clinics to pay for the medical treatment, so we can't afford accountants to vet somebody to see who's more
worthy,
more what need. Yeah, I mean, it's not possible. So unfortunately, we have to use the means test that's already there, and that's the medical card. So you need to have a medical card to come to us. So.
And how many babies have you helped create so far?
Well, one of the things that we say we don't need to know once we've had somebody out through the treatment process, it's their business and they don't need to let us know. But so far we know that we have 3 babies, so 3 pomegranate babies out there.
And this year there are how many people undergoing treatment with you? How much money have you raised towards that?
Well, we've another 6 couples now ready to start treatment in the coming months, so hoping for another 6 babies in the next year.
And how are you raising funds? Do you get anything from the government then, or is it all cake sales and raffles?
We don't get a penny from anyone apart from what we raise ourselves. It's cinema nights, fundraisers, raffles. We don't take any money in expenses. Everything comes out of our own pockets. So literally every single penny that someone donates goes directly towards paying for IVF.
And hopefully, you want this to be bigger and better, maybe take on more people.
So long as we don't have to pay them, yeah. It's all literally, it's so expensive and there's so little funding out there. Dundee helped us out last year. We got a lot of money from them and we were able to pay for 3 cycles thanks to Dundee, which is fantastic. But at the moment we're really scraping every penny we can and trying to pay 1 cycle at a time.
Are you the only charity in Ireland doing this?
Yeah, the only charity doing anything like this. There is another charity, NISIG, that provides help and emotional support, but we're the only charity raising money to pay for treatment.
Okay, so if you could say anything right now, what would it be? Obviously, donate if you can, or if somebody out there is watching and can't afford IVF.
Well, tell them about our site, www.pomegranate.ie. Tell them about us, and yeah, of course, donate, or even just spread the word and have somebody else donate, or have a cake sale, have a cinema night, back some bags, anything. Keep an open mind. It's a condition that affects 1 in 6 couples, so the couple that you think just couldn't be bothered having a baby, you never know, they could be in need of us.
Okay, well, on that note, ladies, many thanks for coming on. Best of luck with the charity, and thanks for talking to us on Midday today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's back to you in studio, Elaine.
Thanks for that, Sybil. Now, we couldn't let today pass without mentioning the new series of Ireland's Animal A&E, which begins tonight here on 3 at 7:30. Here's a quick clip of tonight's show, which features some neglected donkeys. We have to warn you, some may find this clip upsetting.
Conor must first photograph the donkey's condition as evidence.
Well, we want to document the extent of the neglect of these animals, and photographs are a very useful sort of visual aid to show, because as I say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. It really does show the extent of the neglect and the pain that these animals are feeling. So we'll be photographing both animals, and we'll pass on all the information we gather, our own experiences here, the photographs, and our vet's reports onto the Gardaí with a view to a potential prosecution. The local Gardaí have spoken to somebody who has admitted ownership of the white one and has agreed to surrender to the ISPCA, which is a wonderful result. So we're going to work with the Gardaí to secure that surrender.
Andrea, I was just asking you there when we got back to it's a very heartbreaking story that we've just seen there, but there's also some good news as well in this series.
Well, do you know what? It's our 5th series, and what we decided to do was show the rescue, as we always do, which is very upsetting and shocking, show the rehabilitation and then the rehoming, because ISPCA is about 3 R's, and oftentimes we don't really show the rehabilitation, the rehoming. I think it's important for people to know that those 2 lovely donkeys did get farrier work down at the National Animal Centre, and they're now in the Donkey Sanctuary in Cork, would you believe?
I once adopted a donkey from my friend in the Donkey Sanctuary in Cork.
I love the Donkey Sanctuary. I wish they'd take me in, but they haven't yet. No, but we're trying to do
for that.
We're trying to do a bit more positive this year. Pete the vet is on as well, and Barbara with her exotics. So yeah, it starts tonight at 7:30, and hopefully people like the rehoming and the rehabilitation part of it, because sometimes the rescues can be very upsetting.
Yeah, and I suppose this time of year, it's after Christmas, there's a lot of pets being abandoned, like it or not, despite the warnings.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, responsible pet ownership, you really have to think about the pet. Can you have it for 15, 16 years? If it's a donkey, they can live for 52 years.
What?
Will you be around? They could,
God.
52 years is the oldest donkey down at the Donkey Sanctuary.
Yeah.
So you have to be investing a good 20 or 30 years in a donkey.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't think many people would buy a donkey for Christmas. I'm thinking more like the puppies. But anyway, 7:30 tonight on TV3, so we look forward to that. Thank you very much, Andrea. Now, that's it from us today. Thanks to all my guests here in studio, and of course to Sybil. Coming up next here on 3 is the news at 12:45. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 11:45. Bye.